So then let's start the session. So students, we are actually in business environment and we are making good progress in our syllabus and with our past paper session. As you know, we have completed the chapter 1 and the chapter 2 as well as the chapter 3 as well with all the relevant past papers with accuracy. And now we are moving to the next topic, means the next chapter, that is third in the business organizations, right? So this is going to be a 10 percentage of your syllabus, and there will be so much of questions you can expect from this area. But it's a small topic compared to other business support services or kind of business environment or business organization. Less topics are here. So the first thing is trade in the business organizations. Trade in the business organizations. So my dears, what this means, this chapter, the trade in the business organization, we will explore how buying and selling happens in the business world. It's like the very heart of commerce that keeps our economy alive, right? That's trade, business. We have local trade within our country, we have domestic trade as well as international trade. There are so much of trade. Trade means buying and selling things, right? So let's talk about the topics, the meaning of trade first. So the meaning of trade, exchange of goods and services, buying and selling. Someone is having the goods for selling you and someone is buying from you. So this is exchange of goods as well as services. Now I'm exchanging my services to you. Right? So we are going to understand what trade actually is and why humans have been doing it for thousands of years, right? So trade and related activities. Trade can be defined as the action of buying and selling goods and services. So the special term should be buying and selling goods as well as services. The basic concept of trade, right? It means trade is simply the action of buying as well as selling the goods and services. But students, it's so much more than that. But for the simplifying, buying and selling goods and services, right? And this is an essential activity to satisfy the human needs and wants. Essential activity. The word I'm mentioning here is it's essential, necessity. Why? Because none of us can produce everything we need. That's a basic form of trade, right? So that's why the trade is essential to satisfy all the human needs and wants. We can't produce everything we need ourselves. We are not in an economy that is self-sufficient. Even we are, Sri Lanka is an island, but still we are importing fish. We are still importing our agricultural items. We are fully dependent on other countries' products as well as services. So this is an essential activity to involve in local trade as well as in foreign trade also. So the trade allows the buyer to purchase the goods and services in order to satisfy their needs of essentialities, right? So here you can fulfill your needs and wants through goods and services. That's simply business. But in that business, there is a small portion that is buying and selling goods. This is self-explanatory. So a basic form of trade has two parties. As you know, buyer and seller. You know, someone is buyer and someone is seller. Because the definition itself, trade in the sense buying and selling. So the buyer, it's here, purchases required goods or services to satisfy their needs, food needs, or sometimes communication needs, right? Water, whatever. And the seller keeps the goods in the stock or providing services for selling. So there are two parties, buyer, as well as we can highlight here also the person called seller. Let me highlight the word, right? Seller. So the buyer purchases required goods or services to satisfy their needs, as well as the seller means the seller keeps the goods in their stock or producing as a manufacturer for the selling purposes. So that's the two parties involved in a trade activity, right? So the person who needs something and willing to pay for it, right? Purchase the required goods or services to satisfy their needs. So he or she has money, but they needs products. For example, for our students Rakavi, so Rakavi goes to buy rice for her families. So he sees the buyer, right? At the same time, there will be seller, the person who has something to offer and he wants payment. So he keeps goods in their stock, or sometimes he's the manufacturer or producer, and he will sell. So he has products, but he needs money, right? Think about this, right? So let's move. This is very simple explanation. So selling and buying is something we can refer as a trade. And the importance of trade. Trading activities are essential to satisfy the human needs and wants, as I mentioned earlier. And trade allows the consumers to purchase the required goods and services. As I mentioned earlier, my dears, imagine if you're in Colombo, right? You had to grow your own rice, and you have to raise your own chickens, and you have to make your own clothes. Is it possible? No, we can't do everything. It's impossible, right? So the trade lets you focus on your job, while the farmers, tailors, and other providers, right? They need money. So they are doing their job, right? So Sri Lanka imports fuel because we don't produce oil, but we export tea, that others can't grow in their countries. So that's the essential activities. It's an essential activity. If we want to fulfill the needs and wants, every country should do trade with other countries also. So that's what I'm mentioning here. Trade allows the consumers to purchase the required goods and as well as the services, right? You have money from your job or your business, but you need food, you need clothes, you have to travel, you need transport, right? So if you do trade, buying and selling only, the gap, you can meet that gap, right? For example, you work as a teacher, right? You are selling your service and you are receiving the salary. Then with that salary, you buy your necessities items. So the trade allows the consumer to purchase the required goods and services, as well as the trade allows the seller to earn revenue from the goods and services supplied, right? Business, trade. You have money from, I said earlier, you have money from your job, right? And the trade allows the sellers to earn revenue from the goods and services. So you're going to buy that. So producers, they can specialize as well as they can earn from their expertise, right? They can create livelihood for millions of people, right? For example, a family's own business, they are doing businesses like traditional sweets manufacturing for generations, right? So the trade lets them earn from their skill. That's the importance of trades. At the same time, the trades, it creates more opportunities for the economy, right? As an economy also, it's create too much opportunities because the new businesses emerge to support the trade. Because buying and selling, transportations, there will be buying and selling, banking, buying and selling, insurance, all exist because of the trade. Because we need to buy something, and we have to get our goods in our custody, so we need to have a marine insurance, right? We are doing businesses, buying and selling. That's what we need in current account. We need a loan, right? We have to shift our goods to the another places. We need transport. So all the services, we have studied so much services here in the chapter 3. We need communication, we need, transportations, we need insurance, we need money systems, financial system, bank. Why? Most of the things are not only used by the end consumer, most of the time it is used by the third people, right? So the transportation, banking, insurance all exist because of the threat. Pick me, right? Pick me exists because restaurants trade food with customers who need the delivery. So if there is no trade, there's no need of pick me, Uber, right? So it creates more opportunities for the economy as well. At the same time, trade facilitates increased income generation via employment, right? Every trade activity, it creates jobs because they need people to manage the process. They need people for the customer, service. They need people to do marketing, so they have to start marketing department, production department, factory. So it's create employment, right? So the income generation, that is through the trade. Think about how much it's important, right? From the production to the final sale, people are employed. One clothing shop, they can employ designers, tailors, salespeople, accountants, cleaners. Oh, so much of opportunities, right? Employment opportunities. And the trade enables the utilization of resources. Resources means we know, we have studied about resources in the chapter 1. There can be human resources, there can be physical resources, M5, M7, man, machine, method, money, material. Can you remember? Minutes. These are the resources. So the trade enables the utilization of resources. Unused resources become valuable through the trade services. We have land, labor, materials all get used very productively for the production of goods and services. If we do trade only, sometimes there might be abundant land in Hambantota area. It became very valuable, when the port was built for international trade. So the trade enables the utilization of resources. So these are the importance of trade. This is an essential to satisfy the human wants and needs. So that's what you have to know in the first part, trade in the business organization. Now we are moving to the other topic, that is channels of distributions, right? What's the channels of distribution? What this means by this is like the different paths the products take from the person who makes, it means from the factories, to the person who uses them, the end users, right? Like, roads connecting the factories to the homes. Like that, the channels of distribution of products or services, right? So now let's learn about first about distribution. What is distribution? So distributions means making the goods reach the customer's hands. That's all about distribution. Like logistics also, we heard the same meaning, right? Inbound logistics, outbound logistics. Can you remember from our previous session? Like that, the distributions itself, making the goods reach the customer's hands. That is distribution. It means we are going to understand how products physically, right? Physically move from producers to the consumers. So the distribution process is making the goods reach the customer's hands. It's the journey of products from maker, it means from the manufacturer to the actual user, right? For example, you can imagine a manufacturer starts with a product and it passes through various hands like distributor, agent, wholesalers, then again retailers, and after that, final consumer. So finally, it reaches the consumer at the finish line, right? So there can be a good in distribution system. We don't know that. So in other words, it's the process where the buyer who requires the goods get them for their usage, in simple words, right? So in trade, goods are processed by the seller before the distribution. That is simple, right? So before distribution, the seller owns the goods. And after the distribution, right? See, once the distribution is complete, the goods will be in the possession of the buyer. Then he is going to be, the buyer is going to be the owner. He will get the title of that goods. The buyer will own the goods after that. For example, let's think about a Melbourne biscuit, very famous in Sri Lanka. That starts a, it starts that Melbourne biscuit starts at a Melbourne factory. It means the seller has it in their own factory, and it goes through the distributors and shops and ends in, your little child, let's call Fatima, ends in little Fatima's lunchbox, right? So the buyer has it. So from the distributor, right, it means from the producers through all the intermediaries to the buyer. So before the distribution, it is in the seller possession, and once the distribution is finished, the goods are going to be to the buyer possession. And generally, the customer becomes the owner of the goods at the end of the distribution. That simple thing, right? You're going to get the title, right? And in the trade of services, sometimes not only physical goods, there is a trade services of fish services as well. So what we are doing right now. The service is performed while the customer consumes it. That is service. Right now, I am performing my teaching, I am doing lecturing, and you are consuming at the same time. So the service is performed while the customer consumes it. Right? So services are different because you can't store them or you can't separate from the provider. You can't separate my teaching with me. It is with me always. So services are always special. So since services has a two special features, that is non-storability as well as inability to be separated from the provider. So non-storability, you cannot store a service, and inability to be separated from the provider, like if you're giving tea as a product, yes, once you consume it, that's finished, but you can't do something like that in the service. So non-storability means can't keep, for example, you can't keep haircut in a box, right? You have to go to the salon and consume it. You can't keep a haircut in your box in your home, right? That is non-storability. And what about inseparability? Inseparability mean, for example, in this example, the barber and haircut can't be separated. If he's there only, you can do the haircut, otherwise can't. That is services. So since the service trade has two special features that you have to understand. And since service is intangible and perishes once rented, the seller or buyer do not worry about ownership. Right now I am teaching, you are getting my knowledge, but I am not worrying about the ownership, right? You are getting my methods, no, I am not worrying about it because it is intangible, right? And it is perishes once the rented. The seller or buyer do not worry about the owners. You are not going to worry about the ownership. I'm not going to worry about the ownership. It's service. That's the kind of this, right? And let's learn about, so therefore, service operations do not have a separate distribution process. That's the main point I'm going to give you. There is, do not have a separate distribution process, right? Because if we have goods only, we need to move that physically from the manufacturer to the end consumer. But services, we cannot separate that from the manufacturer, from the provider. So we don't need the distribution process. So the customer should come and meet the person who is providing the services. Then only they can get the services. So there is no distribution needed for the services. You got the point? You got the point, my dears? Shall I get a yes or no quickly, please, from all the people? Did you understand what's the meaning of distribution? Amar, Azam, Kifla, Minfa, Azan, Rakavish, Zahra. Are you there, all of you? Right. Okay. Good. So that's all about distribution. And now let's learn about the methods of distribution. So you are clear right now. We need products for the distribution. Now we will learn about the methods of distribution now. What this means? It means the different ways the products can travel from the maker to the user. Like you're choosing different routes to reach a particular destination. Like that. So there is a direct distribution and indirect distributions also. So these are the primary categories of distribution. Let's talk about the direct distribution. What this means? It means the manufacturer sells directly to the customers. There is no middleman in the direct distributions. Like you are buying vegetables directly from the farmer, directly, right? That is direct. And let's learn about deeply one by one. So primary categories of distribution channels are, as I mentioned earlier, direct, indirect, as well as we will learn other categories also. So the direct distribution means the seller directly hands over the goods to the buyer, right? That's something you can understand about direct distribution. Either the seller transports the goods to the buyer's destination, or the buyers visit the seller's location and get the goods. Both can happen. But still, it is a direct distribution because they are meeting each other. So this, as a seller, you transports your goods to the buyer's destination directly, or the buyer visit the seller's location and get the goods directly. You are the people, only people. Buyer and sellers are only involving. There is no middleman. That is direct distribution. In the direct distribution, my dears, the seller as well as the buyer, they meet face to face. There's no intermediaries like wholesalers, retailers, agents, distributors. No. And also, we call that as a zero intermediary distribution channel. That is direct distribution. There is no intermediary people. Directly manufacturer to the consumer. It is directly, right? So the path is clear, manufacturer to the consumer. And let's talk about the features of this direct distribution. The first feature is there is a close relationship with customers or consumer because you are going to face to face. So the seller and buyer, they meet face to face, right? And, you know, small volume of distribution. Normally, as you meet face to face, you can't carry much products, right? So always it's going to be a very small volume of distribution because can't reach many customers. They can't reach many customers since they have to meet, for example, seller or buy seller, they have to meet each customers individually, so they can't reach many customers. So the distribution volume is very small. At the same time, it is very limited by personal capacity. Example, if you can only serve to very few customers, right, who come to your shop with your time limitations, that is small volume of distribution is a feature. At the same time, beneficial for easily perishable items, fresh products like fish, like fresh milk, like that products, fruits, vegetable. So fresh products, they need quick sale, no time for the long distribution chains, right? We cannot have a distribution channels for the vegetables like today we got the carrot, and for 1 week it is in the travel to distributors, another 2 months it is in the transport for the reach the agent, and another 2 months for reaching to the what you call wholesalers and retailers. Can we do? No. So perishable items easily, it can get the expiry very quickly. So those items, it is better to have a direct distribution method. Like for example, vegetables normally from the farmer to the market directly. There is no time because it will damage quickly, right? So it is more beneficial for easy perishable items. No time for a long distribution chain. For example, fishermen at Negombo, they are selling fresh fish directly to the people, like that. And the cost of distribution is relatively lower. Why? Because we don't have middlemen. We don't need to pay for our agent, our wholesalers. We don't need to give discounts. So no middleman fees, no extra transportation, all profit stays with the producer or the manufacturer, right? So, for example, I'll give you some real life examples. Every Sunday, good shed in Bathramulla, good shed, farmers, they come from Nuwaralia to sell their vegetables directly to the Kalambu families. No middlemen, no, you know, no any middlemen people. So that is fresh products, better prices for both, right? So this is the features or the benefits of direct distribution. And let's move to the other primary categories of distribution channel is indirect distributions, right? So indirect means there are at least one intermediary may be there, right? Indirect distribution. Between the seller and the buyer, there will be intermediaries. So intermediaries means they can be agents, they can be, you know, wholesalers, retailers, distributors, in so much of names. Between the seller and buyer, there will be any one intermediaries at least, right? So the seller and buyer do not meet each other face to face in the indirect distribution. There will be a middleman. For example, Pizza Hut, think about it. The seller and buyer do not meet each other. Pizza Hut, the actual owner or the manufacturer, somewhere, right? So that is, you know, indirect distribution. Product pass through some intermediaries before reaching the customers. For example, if you're sending a package, it's traveling through multiple post offices, right? Before reaching you. But in direct distribution, the seller and buyer, sorry, in indirect distribution, the seller and buyer never meet. The intermediaries people, they will handle the products. There are multiple businesses because if there is an agent, he is doing an agent business. If there is a wholesaler, he is doing a wholesale business. If there is a small retailer's shop, they are doing retail business. So multiple businesses involved in indirect distribution. So some intermediaries are involved in transporting and delivering the goods also. As a seller, you don't need to provide the transport facilities. You don't need to provide any other delivering facilities, even packaging facilities. They will handle all the things, right? So there are some intermediaries like that also. So that is the simple explanation of primary categories of distribution channels. Now, let's dive very deep into the indirect channels, the types of indirect channels. We can categorize one as a single intermediary distribution channel as well as multi-intermediary distribution channel. Single intermediary means only one intermediary person. For example, from the manufacturer to the consumer, only one intermediary retailer shops. So if there's only one person in the distribution channel, that we can consider as a single intermediary distribution channels. For example, manufacturer to the consumer, only retailer. Manufacturer to the consumer, only one intermediary, that is agent. Right? Simply that. Only one middleman between the manufacturer and consumer. So what are the features of these single intermediary distribution channel? The first one is no direct touch with customers. Even though only one middleman, there is no direct touch with the customers, right? Manufacturers, they don't have the direct touch with the customers, right? The retailer, agent, so they are in the touch, right? At the same time, if we want to have a feedback about our product or service, right? So for simplification, let's ensure only for products. If you want to take a feedback in a single intermediary, you have to get the feedback about your product from the retailer only, because retailer, they are communicating with the manufacturer only. The actual retailer is communicating with the consumer. So whatever the retailer is telling about the product or services that he knows from the customers, that's the feedback. So we can say there is, the feedbacks, it will comes from the retailer or the agent, whoever, right? And market prices may be relatively a little higher, a little. Why? Because if there is an intermediary, he will add his margin, right? So a manufacturer, he's selling his goods to the retailers, and the retailer adds their margin, their profit margin, right? Azan is asking a question, what's the difference between retailer and agent? Agent is not going to issue or supply the products to the end consumer. They're not going to issue the products to the end consumer. Because as an agent, again, he has to distribute to the wholesalers or other people. But retailers are people who are directly issuing or providing the goods to the end consumer, right? So market prices may be relatively a little bit higher, right? So retailers at their profit margin, but not too expensive because only one single intermediary, right? For example, let's think about Munchie biscuits. So a packet of Munchie biscuit is cost bit more at shop than the factory because there is a profit margin of the retailer. At the same time, the volume of distribution is relatively low because only one distribution, limited by retailer capacity. If you have retailers, they have small shops, right? So they have small shops, and they are buying so many variety of goods. So they will buy small amounts of your goods and they will issue to the consumers because as a retail shop, they can't have only biscuits, right? They have to have all the variety of goods. So the volume of distribution is very relatively low if we are having only single intermediary. And it is mostly applicable for low shelf life goods. Low shelf life goods means we cannot keep that goods for a month, like perishable goods, right? The products that spoil very quickly, and also there is a need for a intermediary, so we can keep only one. So it needs faster movement, like bakery products it to shops, right? For example, Prima. So Prima bread factory, it delivers to your shop every morning because customers they buy from you, right? It's not Prima directly, but there's a factory, it delivers to you, but every morning. Why? Because it is mostly applicable for low shelf life goods, only one intermediary, right? So I hope some ideas you understood the features of single intermediary distribution channel. Okay, now let's talk about the multi intermediary distribution channel, right? So, multi-intermediary distribution channel. It means from the manufacturer to the consumer, there are so much of more than one intermediaries, manufacturers, agent, right, retailers. There are so much of people will involve. So here is the clear path from the manufacturer, wholesalers to retailers, then consumers. So there's more than one people. So it is multi-intermediary model. And from the manufacturer to the agent, to the wholesalers, wholesalers to retailers, then only to the consumer. So this is also more than one intermediary. So these are multi-intermediary distribution channels. So what are the features of these, of the multi-intermediary channels? It means multiple middlemen involved in getting the products to the consumer, right? So the feature one is relationship with customer is remote. Remote means it's too much far away, right? Even customers don't know where it is coming from, right? Manufacturer very far from the consumers. Many layers between them, right? Agent, wholesalers, retailers, so much of layers between the manufacturers and the consumers. My dears, Unilever products, most of the we are using baby soap and so much of things. That's from Unilever. So Unilever, they doesn't know who uses their soap, right? So the relationship with customer is remote. And the second one is market price of the products may be high. Why? Because so much of intermediaries. At each intermediary's point, they will add their own profit. Then when it comes to the end consumer, it will be more pricey, more expensive product. So each intermediary adds profit margin. So the final price much higher than the factory price. For example, if you buy a shirt from the factory, that is only rupees 500 rupees. But if you go to the retail shop and you buy the same shirt, that is rupees 2000 rupees, because that 1500 is added by multiple business people like agent, wholesalers, retailers, right? So market price of the goods may be high. And the time taken for distribution is also relatively high, because products move through the many hands, right? From agents, wholesalers, retailers, right? It can be weeks, sometimes months. Think about imported goods. It taking time to reach the rural shops, right? And the fourth one, very high market coverage of products, right? Why? We can cover the market because there are so much of intermediaries. We can reach entire country, even remote villages. Think about Coca-Cola. It is available from Colombo to Kilinochchi, Jaffna, small, rural area in eastern provinces to Batiklo, everywhere. Because they have multi-intermediary distributors, multi-intermediary distribution channel. Think about the Lifebuoy shop in a small shop in Mondragal area. Unilever, Unilever factory produces it. It goes to the main distributor in Colombo, then to a regional wholesaler in Abadulla, right? Finally, like for example, Siraj shops in Mondragala, and again, an Amina buys it for her family, like that. So the very high market coverage of the products, because multi people are involving in multiple places, right? So that's the important point you have to remember. So that is multi-intermediary distribution channel, right? So I hope so you are getting the complete idea of distribution. Now let's talk about the importance of distribution channels, right? And more revenue, market opportunities, and economic growth. Let's talk about it. The benefits for proper distribution channel management. If you have a proper distribution channel and you are managing it in a proper way, what are the benefits as a business? First thing is it will facilitate the market access. What this means? It means, my dears, if you are managing your distribution channel, it helps the businesses to reach the right customers at the right time. For the products, it reaches the target customers. It's available wherever they need it in a small shops, right? So it's facilitating the market access. And if you manage your distribution channels, you will have the distribution efficiency with you, right? Distribution efficiency. It will reduces the cost of your distribution. What this means? Sometimes you don't know about some waste and some item costing, but it is not actually moving your products. It's a waste of time. Even if that process or cost is not there, your product will move. So sometimes you can lower your transportation cost. You can find a way to reduce the spoilage. You can find a way to do faster delivery, right? So for example, you are distributing vegetables, but you are managing your distribution channel very well. So you are using like vegetable using refrigerated trucks, not using the normal trucks, refrigerated trucks. So you can reduce the spoilage of vegetables, right? That's what distribution efficiency. When you manage your distribution channel in a great manner, only you can achieve the distribution efficiency. And the provision of additional services. This is also a proper distribution channel management will give you, right? So sometimes, transportation, not only transportation, logistics clearance, warehousing also provided by the distributions people, right? Intermediaries like wholesalers, agent, sometimes they will do more than just transport, right? Include transportation, logistic clearance, warehousing, like they will store your goods and services in their warehouses, right? They will issue to the wholesalers and retailers in breaking the bulk quantities. They will give to credit to the retailers, right? Sometimes the distributors, they store the rice until the shops need it. So the distribution channel will give you the additional services also, like this, right? And it reduces the burden of the business actually. Think about it. You are having the distributor, so he's handling the storing, he's handling the refrigerating things, and he's handling distribution to the retailers and all of the things. So it reduces the burden of your business. So if you are a manufacturer, you can focus on making the products, not selling the product. So you as a producer, you can focus and improve your product, right? So it relieves business from expression of distribution problems. So intermediaries, they can handle the distribution, but you have to manage the distribution channel. So Meliband company, they can focus on making biscuits, not running shops, right? That reduces the burden of the business if you have a proper distribution channel management. And it is speeding up the supply chain. It means how the products reach the market faster, that is supply chain, right? So if you have a good distribution channel management, it helps businesses reach the market at the minimum time. Very efficient logistics, right? Quick turnover, very fresh products. Yes. If you have a good efficient channel, a very fresh fish from Jaffna, it reaches Colombo at the same day. If you manage it properly. So it is speeding up the supply chain. So these are the benefits of proper distribution channel, my dear. So let's see one question that is from 2024 July question. Here, see, state two advantages of a distribution channel to the business. Just now we have seen, right? Here, see the answer. Facilitating market access, distribution efficiency, provision of additional services, reduces the burden of the business, speeding up the supply chain, increase the market reach, cost effective, improve productivity, increase sales, serve time, improve customer service. Same answers, right? Right. So these are the benefits of proper distribution channel management. And let's move to the disadvantages of improper distribution channel management. If you are not managing your channel management, your distribution channel, whether it is an single intermediary or multi-intermediary, it will give you disadvantages. What? You have to lose your profits, right? Because if you can't manage it properly, it will add some extra cost that actually no need. So cost means expenses, expenses means it reducing the profit, potential profit, right? So bad distribution eats up potential earnings, high distribution cost, too many intermediaries, but actually you don't want that much of intermediaries. So that your product seems expensive to the general public, your product demand will lower, right? So if you use too many middlemen, the cost is exceeds sometime your profits. So the loss of profits. And if you don't manage your distribution channel properly, the bad customer relationship will come, right? Poor distribution, it creates unhappy customers. Sometimes customers are getting late deliveries, sometimes the damaged products, and wherever they are going to the shop and asking your product, there is no stockouts, right? So think about it. It will create bad customer relationship if we don't have proper distribution channel. And the loss of reputation, right? Loss of reputation. The customer trust and reputation may be damaged. As I mentioned earlier, the distribution problems, it can damage your brand image. Customer lost the trust with you. There will be bad word of mouth marketing, right? Think about your fresh milk. It's always arrive in a damaged country situation. The brand reputation suffers. They are not going to recommend your product, and it will increase some legal cost as well, right? You have to face some legal problems sometimes, because customers sometimes they will do complaints. They can claim for the compensation. Sometimes they can go courts also, the legal disputes sometimes. So they got the spoiled food and they got illness and it leads to lawsuits. So that much of problems can be created. And you are going to lose the competitive advantage. What does it mean by competitive advantage? It's a special word. I love that word, competitive advantage, because always in digital accounting, my dear, my focus always to create competitive advantage. I love this word, competitive advantage. Why? Because as an organization, we have to create competitive advantage. It means we have to create our unique resources as well as our core capabilities that cannot be, cannot be imitated or copied by other people. Right? That's competitive advantage. If you are able to create competitive advantage, no one can replace you in the market. You are going to be the market leader, right? So that is competitive advantage. So slower customer response time, that will kill your competitive advantage. So it will weaken the market competitiveness of you. So the competitors with a better distributions, they will win because you are slower than your competitors. Your prices are higher because you have a lot of intermediaries, but actually it doesn't need it, right? For example, you delivers in 3 days, but your competitors delivers the same product in the same day. You lose the customers, right? That is the loss of competitive advantage. At the same time, the damage to market share. Market share means what? The people who are competing for the same customer base. If we have a three business and same people want that product, so we are competing. That is market share. So customers switch to competitors. So you have to you will lose to your customers. It will reduce the sales revenue. It will shrinking your business, not expanding. For example, your customers are switching from local shops to Keels because it's available every time. Even the price is high in the Keel supermarket, the vegetables or the fruit, whatever they want, it is available because they have mastered in distribution, the Keels, Cargills, right? So it will damage to market share. So these are the disadvantages of improper distribution channel management. I hope so. You are getting my point. And the determinants of distribution channels. What are the determinants? Determinants in the sense, it means the factors that help decide which distribution method to use, whether we have to use single intermediary or multi intermediary or sometimes the direct intermediary method. So what are the factors that's the determinants of distribution channel, right? Let's talk about one by one. So it will be nature of the product, the volume of the delivery, distance of the delivery, the middleman, the cost of distributions, the market regulations, and the competitive advantage. So many things. It will decide whether we are going to have the multi-intermediary or single intermediary or even direct intermediary. So let's talk about one by one. The first is the most important is the nature of the product. Nature of the products means sometimes your product is very durable, sometimes very low shelf items, or your physical conditions of the product, size, and the components, the number of components. So it will decide whether you are gonna have single intermediary, multi intermediary, or the direct thing, right? So the nature of the product, the different products, they need different distribution methods. For example, my dears, like perishable goods like fish, vegetables, they need very quick and direct channels. So it's better to have a direct intermediary channels. For products like durable goods, like for example, electronic items, they can use longer channels like multi-intermediary because it's very durable. Electronic items usually. Sometimes the fragile items, they need very careful handling, right? Right, for example, for the Valentine's Day you are ordering roses, so for that it needs fast distribution, careful distribution. We cannot have multi intermediaries there. So that's the nature of the product is deciding the distribution channel and the volume of delivery as well. So volume of delivery, what this means, it means the quantity affect the distribution choice, right? So the quantity of stock, it requiring different distribution setups. So if you have the large volumes of distribution, it needs sometime wholesalers, agents. So sometime You are having 1 millions of goods, you are producing 1 millions of goods, you have to issue that 1 million of goods within 1 month to the entire Sri Lankan market. So you have to have more than 100 people all over the Sri Lanka to distribute your goods. So large volumes need wholesalers and other intermediaries, but small volumes you can go direct, right? Direct in the, without in any intermediaries, right? At the same time, if you are loading the goods in a container, it needs a different handling than just normal parcel. So the volume of delivery matters. It decides the distribution channel. At the same time, the distance of delivery, right? So the distance of the delivery means how far the products, right? How far the products must travel, the kilometers, right? Sometimes if you are selling local sales, right, within your remote area and it is very closeness, right? So that time you can do direct distribution. But for the distant markets and very far away, you need intermediaries. Example, so you have, Jaffna, there is mangoes, right? Jaffna mangoes to Colombo, they need distribution network, right? So the closeness or the remoteness means it's far away. It will determine the types of channel you have to choose. That's one of the important thing. At the same time, the middleman also will determine whether you are going to give, whether you are going to have the middlemans or not. It means the availability and the reliability of the intermediaries people. So you cannot trust all the intermediaries, right? You cannot trust all the agent. You cannot trust all the wholesalers. At the same time, you have to think: are good distributors available? Can they be trusted? What facilities do they offer? They offer storage. They offer warehousing. Is it? Medicine, it needs licensed distributors. We cannot just go and give our medicines. There should be licensed distributors to handle the medicine. So the middleman relevancy, the reliability, and the facilities they offered, that matters. That will decide the channels of distribution, the method of distribution method, and the cost of distribution, right? We cannot afford all the method, because in every middleman's we pass, the cost is there, right? So we have to choose the least cost method to maximize our profit. So choosing the most economical method is very important. Sometimes, in some cases, the direct distribution may seem very cheaper, but it has some hidden cost. Your time. You can't, involve in expanding your business. So it involves some hidden cost, right? You have to calculate the total cost, not the only the distribution cost, right? Sometimes you prefer your own delivery vehicle. Sometimes you prefer courier services. So it depends on the cost of distribution as well. And the market regulations. Sometime, my dears, there might be some legal requirements for the distribution as well. Some products, they need some special licenses to distribute. See, certain goods may require some specific legal channels also. There are some government controls on certain goods. For example, if you are distributing alcohol, it needs some special permits for the distribution. You can't just take it, right? At the same time, competitive advantage will decide your distribution channel, like studying the competitor's channel to gain market benefits. It means you will try to match or you will try to beat the competitor distribution method. For example, if competitors deliver free, you might need to do that. Otherwise, you can't do the business. So the competitive advantage also, it will decide. Sometimes your competitors, they are reaching the rural areas, you also should do. For example, Pizza Huts, they are promising 30-minute delivery. So others also, they have to speed up. It is forced them. So that is competitive advantage also. The other people competition also decide which channels you have to choose. So I hope so you understood it very clearly, determinants of distribution channels. Let's see one question that is actually from 2024 January question 1.5. You are going to answer for me. Which one of the following is a determinant of distribution channel used by a business? What's the answer? Nature of product, cost, distance, or all of the above? What's the answer? Azam, Kifla, Halina, Minfa, Azan, Rakavi, Zahra. Answer, please. Guys, are you sleeping? No, right? Right, Zahra is choosing the fourth one. Rakavi is choosing the fourth one. Yes, right. The nature of the product, cost, distance, everything is matter, right? Just now we have studied the nature of the products, distance, right? The cost of the distribution, everything is matter. So the all of the above is the right and correct answer, right? So that is all about determinants of distribution channels and the parties involved in a distribution channel. So let's talk about the intermediaries a little bit. So who are the intermediaries? And let me explain the parties involved in a distribution channels. So my dears, these are different types of middlemans, right? Who help products move from the manufacturer to the consumer. Like, in a cricket team, different players in a cricket team, each with a specific roles, right? Like that. Without these intermediaries, imagine if every person had go to every factory to buy products, what will happen? These intermediaries make the modern commerce possible, my dears, modern trade possible. So without intermediaries, businesses would struggle to function effectively, right? And there are four broad groups of intermediaries as per your syllabus. We are going to learn about agents, wholesalers, distributors, and retailers. So, four broad groups of intermediaries. Let's learn about agents first, right? Agents. So, individual or company acting as an extension of the manufacturer, right? Extension of the manufacturer. It means these are the representative people. So representatives who sell on behalf of the manufacturers. But the important point is manufacturers, so sorry, behalf of manufacturers without owning the products. They are not going to give the owner the cash and buy the products, and they are not the owners. So they are the extension of the manufacturer, right? They are not going to be on the goods. For example, the agents people are like a marriage brokers. They connect the parties, right? The two families, but don't marry anyone themselves, right? They are not going to marry, right? So they connect the parties like that. The agents, they are the extension of the manufacturer, but they are not going to own the product. They are not going to buy the product. So represent producer to the final user. Producer means the manufacturer to the final users representing, right? So do not own the product but take possession. They will take the goods at their custody, at their place, but they are not the owners. They have the possession only. Possession means keeping the goods only. All right. So they represent the producer's interest. They use the producer's name. For example, the insurance agents are there. They are selling co-policies with the selling co-company's name. They are not the owner of the selling co-policies, right? At the same time, take possession very temporarily until they are selling to the end users, and they never ever become owners. The risk of the goods are stays with the manufacturer still. So how they are getting the income then? They earn through fees or commissions actually, right? So the sales they are making, they will get a percentage of the sales as a commission, and no sale, no income for them. So they motivated to sell more and earn more commission. So for example, if you are doing a real estate business as a real estate agent, right? So when, for example, when a person called Sharif, he wants to sell his house, and there's a person called Jamal, shows it to buyers and negotiate the price, but never own the house, right? Because he's a broker, he's an estate agent, but he gets 2% commission when it sells. If they sell for 1 crore, he will get a 2% of commission. No sales, no income. So commission based income for the agent, they are not the owner, they will just possess the goods, right? Agents. So give me 2 3 minutes, guys. Once the prayer adhan's finished, I'll continue the session. Right. So let's continue, my dears, and let's talk about wholesalers. Right. So let's talk about wholesalers. You know, businesses that buy very large quantities from the manufacturers and they're selling to the retailers. So they take little goods and services, right? The wholesalers. So wholesalers are like, in peta market, normally we will see wholesaling people, right? So they will buy in large quantities, it means in bulk, and they will sell to retailers, right? So the thing is independently owned. The word ownership is very important because as we have seen right now, the agent, they are not owning the goods. They just have the possession only. But wholesalers, they are paying the money and they are taking the ownership with their own custody. So independently own the good. That's important. So agent are just an extension of the manufacturer's business, but wholesalers, they have the separate business, not controlled by the manufacturer, but agents are controlled by the manufacturer. Agents decision should rely on the manufacturer's decisions, but wholesalers, they can make independent decisions. So they buy in bulk, it means large quantities, and they store the products until they resell to the retailers, right? So they have large warehouses, they will hold the inventories. Like, for example, rice mills, think about rice mills. They are storing tons of rice, right? Because they are wholesalers. And sell to other intermediaries, not to final users. They are not going to sell to the final users, right? They supply only to the retailers. It means only we consider B2B. You remember B2B business, business to business. That is wholesalers. Because wholesaler is a business, retailers are the business, not to the final users, right? That's all about wholesalers, you must know. And there is another intermediary called distributors, right? What this means, it is also similar to wholesalers, my dears, but usually they focus on some specific brands or some complementary products. So the function similarity to wholesalers, the distributors also, they also, buy and resell. At the same time, they have the ownership of the product also, right? As a distributors, they have to take the ownership, not like agents. They have to buy the product with their own cash, own money, right? At the same time, they're taking the risk and they will store it, the product, they will store in their own warehouses also. So similar to wholesalers and sell it off at a profit, right? So they will sell it off at a profit, and sometimes they will sell to the retailers or other intermediaries, right? Also, and they ally themselves to complementary products, like the key difference products, right? They always go for a specialized items, and they will become experts in that category, right? Right. So that is all about the distributor. So it's similar to wholesalers. And let's talk about the retailers. This is come in variety of shapes and sizes. Retailers means the final sellers who deal directly with the consumers. The final seller. That is retailer, right? So in different shape and different sizes, the retail businesses are there, right? So from the corner of the grocery store to large supermarket chains like, Cargill's Food City is a retail business. Keel's supermarket is a retail business. Your neighbor's small shop, that also retail business, right? So supermarkets like Keel's, Cargill's also retail business. Your corner grocery stores in a candy, or we call that as a small shop kade, right? So some specialty shops, online stores, whoever selling directly to the consumer, we refer them as a retailers. And the purchase products from market intermediaries, so they will purchase from wholesalers or sometimes from distributors or agent in a smaller quantities than the wholesalers, because wholesalers they will take large quantities, and they will do regular replenishment, right? Every day, so every week they will order the product in small quantities, and they will sell directly to the end user. That's the specialty, so they will have a good customer relationship as well. As so the final point of sale is with a retailer. So consumer interaction is high because face to face they are going to meet. They are the persons going to complete the distribution chain, and they are also for a profit. They will add margin to the wholesale price. Sometimes the wholesale price is like around 100, they will add 20 rupees and they will sell for 120 rupees. So they will add margin to their wholesale price. And the matter is they will provide convenience, right? You don't need to travel kilometers to go for a retail shop. They are in your neighborhood. So they will provide convenience, service. They will bear the risk of unsold inventory because they are the owners of the product, right? So, for example, you are running a grocery shop in Maradan area in Colombo. You buy rice, from wholesalers in Peta. You buy biscuit from distributor. You buy vegetable from a farmers at market. So you sells everything to your neighborhood families. Why the neighborhood families are buying from you? That is convenience. It is easy to come with the 2 minutes of time. You will give credit to them because they are your neighborhood people. So your profit comes from the markup you add, and you provide convenience. They don't need to go to the market, right? These retailers, my dear. So this is the four broad groups of intermediaries you have to understand, right? So that's all about your channels of distribution section. Did you get the point? Do you have any questions? Do you have any question so far? Azam, Kifla, Halina, Minfa, Ashan, Rakavi, Zahra, right? No? Then let's move to the other topic, new trends in trade. Right? So these are the new trends as per your syllabus. We are going to see this as a trend. Right? So trend means what? Like modern change is happening in how business is conducted. Like how smartphones changed everything, right? So the trend is also evolving. It's like the first thing is we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's number it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trends actually. The first one is going to be technology orientation, one roof solution, extended business hours, extended market, enhanced customer service, right? So these are the new trends. So let's talk about the technology orientation. It means, my dears, nowadays the people, the business people, they are using modern technology to make the trade easier as well as faster. Now the technology is revolutionizing the trade, the selling and business. Let me show you how. These are the things. So now the people using the barcode, the usage of barcodes, every product has a unique barcode. If you go to Food City or Cargill's Food Cities, they will scan each and every product. Even a single apple you are buying, they will put a barcode with a price, right? So the usage of barcode, every product has a unique code, and it is an instant pricing and inventory management, no need of manual price checking. you know if you have a chance to go to Arpico, right, watch how fast the Arpico checkout is with the barcode scanning, how fast in the Food City, right? That's a technology orientation, it's coming, it's a trend. And the usage of self-service kiosks, it is not very famous in Sri Lanka, my dears. So, but it will in future, but in foreign countries it's there. It means there is no customers, customers serve themselves, self-service, right? You will go to these kiosks items, right? You will enter whatever the product you want, and you will pay the money, and it will give you the, goods. So it will reduce the waiting time because there will be so much of kiosks, and it is available 24 hours, 7 days. For example, you can see dialogue self-service kiosks for bill payment. They will implement the dialogue self-service kiosks for bill payment. So you can go and make your easy case payment. You can make your electricity payment. You can give the cash to the machine like that. So the usage of self-service kiosks are the technology orientation example. And also the online inquiries as well as online ordering in a business is a trend now, right? We are always checking the availability online of a business, right? Whether they are in online, whether we can order through cart, whether we can order from home. Can we track the delivery? If you order from Amazon, you will track the delivery. If you order from Daras as well as Temu, you can track the delivery. You can order groceries from the Keel's website. No need to go to the Keel supermarket physically. So that's also trend is going on. At the same time, new technology allows customers to experience well customized facilities via smartphones, right? Facilities via smartphone. You have apps for everything now. You have the personalized shopping. If you go to that particular app, it's showing according to your preference. Your friend is showing a different homepage. You are seeing the different homepage, right? One touch, everything is happening. In one touch, you can order. No need OTP, no need everything. You already have the cards and details. With a one touch, your order is processed. You can remember the Pick Me app. It remembers your favorite restaurants, my dears. When you open the Pick Me app again, it will show you, okay, these are the favorite restaurants you are taking the foods. So that's how the new technology allows the customers to experience a very well customized facilities via smartphones and apps. So the first thing is in the new trends, that is technology orientation, right? And let's talk about the second one, that is one roof solution. What this means? It means, my ideas, providing multiple services, multiple products in one location. So providing multiple goods and services in the same premises or one location. That is one roof solution. It is more famous right now, right? Everything under one roof. Instead of visiting 10 shops, get everything in one place. That's something a kind of, hypermarket solution. So multiple goods and services in the same premises. So it makes customer shopping experiences more satisfied, right? It serves customers time of shopping as well as it saves the traveling also, right? For example, you are going to a shop, right? So it is the supermarket is there. You can buy the vegetables, you can buy the groceries and necessity items. They have the pharmacy also. They have the bakery also. They have the ATM card within their mall. That is one roof solution. So it saves the time. You don't need to go to ATM and take the money, right? You don't need to go to bank, and you don't need to go to bakery for buy bakery items. You don't need to go to buy your medicine items. You don't need to go to supermarket separately. So everything in one place, a big mall. So it save your time, it save your effort at the convenient shopping also, right? So Kargil's food city has everything. So in areas like, I can remember in Galgis area. I don't think so in other areas like, Betiklo and other local areas, they don't have that facilities. But if you go to Kalgisal kind of food cities, they have the bar even to buy liquor. They have the pharmacy, right? Everything. So it serves customers time of shopping and traveling. That is one roof solution is in a trend, right? And extended business hours, right? So nowadays, my dears, shops staying open long hours. Some businesses, their places open 24 hours, 7 days operation, round the clock service, right? They serve all customer schedules. 24 hours, there are sometimes pharmacies for emergency situation is there. Nowadays, 24 hours, 7 days, there is a customer hotline from commercial bank, from other banks as well. So to satisfy the requirements of customers at their convenient time, customers' convenient time. Sometimes they can come for after work shopping. Yes, the shop is available. They can come for a weekend availability. Yes, they can come. Holidays, poyas. Yes. Even, the Love supermarket, they open till 10 p.m. That's how the Kargil's food city, right? I think Keels, I think they open 11 p.m., I think, right? So that's extended business hours. At the same time, extended market. What this means? Businesses expanding their reach through multiple locations now. This is also one of the trend. Opening many branches quickly, expanding, right? Same brand, multiple locations, standardized service, right? For example, Pereira and Sons. Did you heard about that brand, Pereira and Sons, giving cakes and short eats items? They have branches island wide, my dears. Extended market, and they cover many customers in different areas. They covers customers in the rural areas, urban areas, different demographics. So they are trying to reach the maximum reach and enable customers to visit the centers at any part of the country. That is extended market, maximum reach. They are opening many branches. So that is extended market, that also in a trend. And enhanced customer service, as I mentioned earlier also, operating 24-hour customer assistance via online, as well as they are giving hotline. Enhance customer service, better ways to help and support the customers. Customer is the king and service is the throne, right? So they're giving 24-hour customer service assistant hotlines, always answered. Online chat support is there, email response is there. Yeah, right. And customers can reach the business anytime on their requirements, right? So they are solving the problems, they are providing the information, they are handling the complaints, they are, ordering, the order support is giving, right? Everything. So these are the new trends in the trade, right? So you got the idea, right? So now let's move to the two basic trades, right? Let's talk about two basic, that is local trade or foreign trade, or sometimes we can call it as a home trade as well as the foreign trade, right? So I'm gonna explain to you, my dears, in a little bit time. So the home trade means, you know, home trade or local trade and foreign trade. It means the two fundamental categories that all the trade falls into. Like, how all people, either male or female, all trade is either domestic or international. We can call it as a domestic as well as international trade, right? So we can divide this as a home trade or local trade or, domestic trade. It's the meaning of within the country we are doing the trade, buying and selling. And foreign trade or international trade, you know, it means between countries. That at least two countries involved through the ships, through the airplane we are using, right? So let's talk about it that. So local trade and international trade. So one by one, I'll explain to you. The local trade in the sense, my dears. Let's talk about the first one is home or local trade. So once I finish it, I'll come back to this chart. So home or local trade, or we can mention it as a domestic trade as well. Domestic trade as well. So let's see the definition of home or local trade or domestic trade: buying and selling goods and services within the political territory of a country. Within the political territory. What is that political territory means? So if we are the in Sri Lanka, we don't have the borders because we are a island. But other countries like India, China, there is a border. So you have your territory, right? So we can call this as a local trade as well as domestic trade as well. So all buying and selling that happens within our country's borders, right? That's it. So the home trade is like buying and selling goods and services within your political territory of a country. Everything, for example, from Jaffna to Galle, Colombo to Betiklo, if it is within Sri Lanka, it's home trade, it is local trade, it is domestic trade, right? For example, the rice is coming from Polonnaruwa and it is sold in Colombo. Or for example, the cinnamon. Cinnamon is very famous in Matale, in my area, right? When cinnamon from Matale, it's sold in Kandy area. It's all home trade. It's all domestic trade, right? So there are types in home trade or domestic trade. We can classify as a wholesale trade as well as retail trade, right? So the wholesale trade means, you know, the wholesale trade means large scale buying as well as selling between businesses. As I mentioned earlier, wholesale is B2B. They are buying from the manufacturer, they are selling to the retailers. So it's always B2B business. So wholesalers, they are buying from the manufacturers and they are selling to the retailers, right? So the buyer, it means the wholesaler, intent is to resell to the retailers, not to use by wholesalers. They are not buying for their usage. So they will buy in large quantities and they will keep in their custody. So wholesaler buys from the manufacturers and sells to the retailers. The buyer intends. So the buyer in the sense I am mentioning here, actual wholesaler, okay? So the wholesaler intent is resell to the retailers. And the retail trade, right? So retail trade, as we have know, the retailer buys from the wholesalers and sells to the consumer. The intents, the buyer here, the buyer in the sense I'm mentioning the retailer. Let me put it that. So the intent is for the own usage, right? Sorry, the buyer in the sense I'm not talking about retailer, the end user, right? Intents for own use. So that's simply, right? So the characteristic of the wholesale is B2B business, bulk quantities. The unit prices are going to be lower because they are getting the goods from the manufacturers, right? Sometimes the manufacturer will give credit facilities also. They will have storage facilities. But about retailers, they are selling to the final consumers, right? Retailers buy from the wholesalers. They will sell to the consumers, the end users, right? Normally, the buyer uses the product very personally and it will be in very small quantities. We have seen these, the characteristics, everything. But we have to remember one thing, my dears. I have to mention it here. So, this is B2B. Wholesale business is a B2B and retail business is B2C, business to customer. You have to understand that point also, right? So that is all about domestic trade or local trade. That's one of the biggest category. And let's talk about the foreign trade. It means international trade, right? It means buying and selling goods and services beyond the territory of a country, political territory, beyond our political territory. The trade that crosses the international borders, the exchange of goods and services between countries, So let's see the formal definition of that. Buying and selling goods and buying and selling goods and services beyond the territory of a country. So it involves the exchange of goods and services between multiple countries. Also, we call that as a international trade. Right? For example, it connects the Sri Lanka to the world. Your iPhone is coming from China. It's manufactured in China. Your petrol is coming from Middle East. Sometimes you are eating a chocolate that is from Switzerland. But our tea, Sri Lankan tea, it goes to Russia. Our cinnamon, Matale cinnamon, it goes to Mexico. That is international trade, my dears. Right? So that's the definition you have to remember. And there are types. As you know, the local trade have the wholesale and retail type. And the foreign trade, we have export and import. We call it export as well as import. So export means you are selling the goods and services to another country. So you are the person selling here, right? If you are in Sri Lanka, so you are selling your goods, your services from Sri Lanka to another goods that we mention as an export. And import in the sense you are in Sri Lanka, you are doing a business or as an individual person, you are purchasing the goods and services from another country, that is import. So that's a difference between export and import. So in export, you are seller, in import, you are a purchaser, you are the buyer, right? So foreign trade has two direction, what we sell out and what we buy in, right? So, selling goods and services to another country is called export, right? So, you have to understand, my dears, when Sri Lanka sells to the world, we earns the foreign currency. Then only we can receive dollars, euros, and our foreign reserve is better. Then only we can pay our interest for our loans we have taken from international authorities like IMF. That's what export have zero taxes. You know, in Sri Lanka, in many other countries also, my dears, for the export, no tax. Why? Because if they export only, they can get the dollars, the foreign reserve. Then only they can buy the oil and they can buy other goods that's not manufactured in Sri Lanka. That's what for the export, there is no taxes. They will even give some grants, some incentives. Do your exports, earn the foreign currency, right? So, selling our goods and services to other countries is what export, right? So, when Sri Lanka is selling to the other countries, we are earning dollars, euros in foreign currencies. At the same time, it will create some jobs locally because if you want to do export, your goods are manufacturing in Sri Lanka. So, it will create employment opportunities for the local people. And also, you can promote it is made in Sri Lanka, right? It is our goods, our products. We are proud of our exports. Can you remember? Sri Lanka is very famous for the tea, my dears. The Ceylon tea is very famous worldwide. Some people, some people are thinking Sri Lanka is a tea company, right? If you go to some very far away countries, they don't know Sri Lanka as a country. They know Sri Lanka is a tea factory or tea company because Ceylon tea is very famous worldwide. And also our clothes, our garments, very famous in the European countries. So you if you are buying a denim trouser for a 4,000 rupees here, that is equal to 15,000 rupees of Sri Lanka value. In euros. So in Europe, right? So our clothes in European shops, very proud garments. Our garments are very popular in US countries also, US also, because of quality. So we are proud of our exports and also our rubber, right? Our rubber is used in world's vehicles, tires, my dears. That's what it is very popular. And our cinnamon, the spicing up the global markets. As at the same time, our IT services, Sri Lankan programmers are working for Silicon Valley. So these are our exports because we are selling our services as well as our goods to the international market, right? So sometimes, for example, I can remember one of my friend. He did mask factory in Biagam area. During the COVID, he exported millions of masks to USA, Europe, Australia. He earned valuable dollars. I think that time he employed more than 500 people to manufacture the masks, right? So that's export. And let's talk about import also. So purchasing goods and services from another country. What this means? Buying goods and services from other countries. What Sri Lanka buys from the world? The things we can't produce. We don't have the resources. At the same time, if we are going to produce in Sri Lanka, it is expensive. So we can buy. It's cheaper from other countries. Sometimes we cannot produce in that much better quality because we don't have the facilities, factories, resources here. So things of better quality. Fuel, no oil in Sri Lanka. So we have to import. There is no option. We have to import. We have to earn in foreign dollars. We have to pay to other countries in foreign reserves. Otherwise, there is no petrol in Sri Lanka, my dears. The vehicles, think about vehicles. Are we manufacture any vehicles? The cars are from Japan and India. We are importing. Think about electronics, phones. Do we have any phone manufacturing here? Any computer manufacturing? Do we have any companies like Samsung or Apple? No. So we have to import. No choice. And think about machineries for factories. We are always importing machineries, latest manufacture, latest machines from China, actually. And the wheat flour also for bread items, we are importing. Medicines, advanced drugs, we are importing, right? So every smartphone in a phone shop, it is imported from various countries. Samsung from Korea, iPhone from China, but it is made by Apple. And there is something called Xiaomi or something, right? From China. So we have to pay in dollars, but sells in rupees. That's import, right? So these are the two types in international business, my dear. So why the reasons for the international business? Why a country should do international business? Why a country should involve in buying and selling internationally? So the reasons are more profit opportunities. The first thing, the why countries trade with each other instead of trying to produce everything themselves. This is the compelling reason that make international trade is essential. That is more profit opportunities. Because domestic market means it is with limited customers. International markets, they offer bigger earning potential than the domestic market alone. My dear Sri Lanka, it has 22 million people. The purchasing power are limited here because we don't have the much salary like other countries. We have the limited purchasing power, and also there is only the seasonal demand. In Sri Lanka, seasonal demand. We buy everything for a season only. But think about the international market, right? So the international trade, it expands the customer base as well as our profit margins. Unlimited potential. World has 8 billion people, my dear. Think about 8 billion people. If you're gonna do the business, your ultimate target should be internationally. You have to serve the 8 billion people, not 22 million people in Sri Lanka. That's what my aim, my vision. Once I completed this AAT English medium and Tamil medium as a proper product, and also I will serve locally to the A level accounting, economic, and business studies people for the English medium and Tamil medium. My vision is to hit the ACCM market very soon in the near future because I don't want to limit myself to the 22 million people in Sri Lanka. I can reach to the 8 billion people in Sri Lanka through my expertise, through my marketing, everything. So the international market is it is unlimited potential. The world has 8 billion people. Remember this point always. And also there is higher purchasing power in developed countries compared to Sri Lanka. Right? Every year you will have demand. No kind of seasonal demand in Sri Lanka. So think about the Dilma tea. If sold only in Sri Lanka, limited profit. Nowadays, the Dilma tea is selling to 100 plus countries, massive profit. Foreigners pay premium dollars for Ceylon tea, right? So think about a tea estate in Norelia. Now they are exports to Germany, 3 times local prices, more 3 times. So this is more profit opportunities. And the second one is access to raw materials and services. Some raw materials or services not available in Sri Lanka locally. So the foreign trade allows access to high quality low cost inputs, right? So that is one of the reason we have to do international trading, getting materials and services not available in our own country. So something definitely we simply cannot produce, like oil we import from Middle East, we cannot produce because the raw material is not available. The crude oil not is available in Sri Lanka. No wheat we import from Australia, India, and we have limited technology, so we import the experience and expertise people in other countries, right? So that's the thing. So the access to raw materials and services that is not available locally, so we have to do the international business. That's the reason. And the other one is competitive advantage, right? Competitive advantage. It means local market may lack attractiveness. International markets offers more competitive environments. It means, my dear, some countries are naturally better at producing some certain things. As I mentioned earlier, also, Sri Lanka is having the competitive advantage for a tea. Why? Because we have the perfect climate in our hill countries. That is our competitive advantage. Naturally, we have that competitive advantage. And the cinnamon, it is very native to Sri Lanka. That is our competitive advantage, right? At the same time, we have some skilled English speaking workforce for our services. Yes, that is our competitive advantage. So we trade our advantage, our competitive advantage for others they don't have. For example, Saudi Arabia's oil for our tea, Japan's cars for our garments, China's electronics for our rubber. So, for the competitive advantage, if we are going to produce these things, it's not going to happen. So, to take that competitive advantage, we are doing international business. At the same time, for the tax benefits, government encourage exports through some tax incentives. They will give some tax concessions, right? You don't need to pay taxes. Please do export. So earned foreign currency is equal to benefits to the national economy, because if you are earning foreign currency, our country foreign reserve increase. So then they can use that foreign reserve to buy the products and services, right? So the export benefits in Sri Lanka always have tax holidays for exporters, reduced corporate taxes. There's a duty-free import of raw materials for the export people, government subsidies. They are giving so much of things. For example, if you are running a software company and you are developing apps for a US companies, you pay very minimal tax. The government is supports because you brings the dollars to the country. You employ the local programmers here. So tax benefits. At the same time, access to global markets, right? So reduces dependence on uncertain domestic markets, right? In a domestic market, you don't need to be a dependent, and also that is uncertainty is high, so you can access to the global markets. So it helps diversify business risk and expand the opportunities, not depending on only on local market. So diversification, there's a benefit. If local economy is weak, foreign sales continue. Different market, different season, so always you're having the cash with you. So you are kind of diversifying your risk across the countries, right? For example, during economic crisis, local purchasing power is dropped, but your spices are exports to India continually. So foreign earnings is served to your business. That is the access to global market things, right? So these are the reasons, my dears, why international business is very important, right? I think today's session it's enough. From next session, we will introduce about incoterms, very important, and international payment methods, imports, exports procedures, primary documents, those things. And once we finish the foreign trades, and there is another section called electronic trade, e-trade. That's all. I think we have completed 70 percentage of your trade, right? So let's see all of you in the next session. Thank you all. Have a great day. Thank you for your time. Love you all. Bye. See you.